I'm Jon Wilson, a bass player from Adelaide, South Australia.
How old were you when you first started playing bass, and why?
I would have been 13 years old. It was in year 7, and at my school there was a stream for people doing concert band and a stream for people who didn't want to do concert band, and you had to play recorder. So I quite liked the teacher who was teaching recorder, and I wasn't very confident. I didn't really know. I was a guitar player originally, and yeah, I originally asked at the start of the year if I could join, play some chords, and she was like, no, you need to play bass guitar, we need a bass player. And I was like, okay, I'll do recorder. So I did 2 terms on recorder. I probably enjoyed it for the first 2 weeks, but after that, yeah, lost interest, and I came crawling back and asked if I could play guitar. The answer was no. Tried again, no, and then eventually I gave in and I started playing the bass. And 3 weeks later, typical bass story, I was playing a gig. But the thing was, it was at the local McDonald's. The whole concert band was there. It was for like a charity thing. And I knew one song, and the rest was doubled by a keyboard player, and they pretty much played, and I mimed the rest of it.
Just like the cover band gigs just now?
Exactly.
Was there a moment where you thought to yourself, I want to kind of be a bass player, I want to do this as a career?
Yeah, I mean, I had music pretty much in my household my whole life, and I think at my school it was a very healthy music program. It was quite a few people that went on to go to the Elder Conservatorium in Adelaide, and so going through school you look up to those players, and as you go through and you try and be like them, play as good as them, you know, you start to improve, and then you start to realise when you go out and play with other people that actually I'm okay at this. And yeah, it would have been a point where I was like 15 or 16, and I thought maybe playing music as a career could work for me. And if I'm going to do it, probably not guitar.
Or recorder.
Or recorder. but bass guitar, yeah.
Yeah. And so then what was your first bass and amp? Yeah,
my first amp was definitely a no-name. Yeah, it was just a black box. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a Yamaha bass that I had. It was a red bass, big fat neck. But when you never played the instrument before in your life, you know no better. But it was a Yamaha P bass type copy,
yeah.
Very cheap.
Yeah.
But it sounded wicked for slap.
Okay. Is there anyone you would say was really influential in your development as a bass player or a musician?
Yeah. All my teachers, guitar teachers, uni lecturers, bass teachers at TAFE and at school have all had something to do with where I'm at now. I would say my guitar teacher at high school, when I said to him I was interested in jazz, the first thing he gave me was a Joe Pass album and with Niels Henning Orsted Pedersen playing on it, and when I heard that first track, I pretty much had that album on repeat a fair chunk of my day.
Right.
Yeah. So that got me the bug in getting into jazz and starting to work on that side of my playing. Before that, it was very concert band, whatever the teacher gave me, I read and played. But from there, you know, that started getting me interested into the whole jazz thing. Now I don't play jazz, but, you know, it got me through high school and into university, and pretty much connected me with all the local musicians in the scene.
Okay, so that teacher and then maybe that album, I guess. So.
Yeah, that got things really starting to fire, and then from there it was Primus. But yeah, and then I did a TAFE course for a year when I was in high school, and my bass teacher, Jenny, she was a musician on the scene. She did cruise ships and that, and she made sure that I'd listen to a variety of things. She got me into Jarko, got me into Latin music, put my name forward for gigs, you know, to jam with people, and just sort of got me going, just made me realise that even if you're not fully confident in what you're doing, just get out there and do it, because you learn quickly.
Yeah, awesome. So along with the Joe Pass album, is there any other songs or albums or bands that you were that kind of made you go wow in terms of bass playing?
Oh yeah, I mean Primus, like I said before. Yeah, I mean, I used to just listen to that stuff all the time, just on repeat. And when I was 16, they were touring Australia, got to go see them live, blown away even more. And when I thought that that's the best bass player you could be, went home that night, someone brought over a Victor Wooten video on VHS, showed me that, and yeah, I mean, that just that's next level stuff. And from there I just realised that, you know, there is just so much that you can do, and you can't be set in your ways, because there are always different ways that you can play it, and there's no real wrong way, only creative ways. Yeah.
Cool. And do you have any warm-ups or exercises that you like to do on the bass, like when you sit down to practice or before a gig?
Yeah, I'm not really much of a warm-up person. I really don't play fast enough. But if I do have a focused warm-up to get things in tune, I may not have had the bass in my hand for a little while, because now I'm a primary school music teacher. It's not necessarily my profession to play all the time. But if I really need to get back in touch with the bass, I really like syncing the right hand with the left hand. My very first jazz lesson at university was for my bass teacher, Jon Wilson, and he said, just play me a walking bass line, laddie. So I did, and pretty much after a chorus he stopped me and said, can you hear that? And I said, what? He said, your timing, like you're plucking and you're pressing down on the string, it's not in sync, and it's a clicking sound.
That's an amazing thing for somebody to pick up on.
Yeah, I mean, he has super ears.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Was this on electric?
I was on electric, yeah. But yeah, he's very super sensitive hearing. Anyway, so once I didn't hear it, I'll be honest, I didn't hear it straight away. It took me a little while, and I just had to listen to what he was saying, and you know, I'd get into the practice room, and then after a while I actually really could hear what he was saying, and so from there I would just do, that's how I'd practice, like getting warmed up, just really locking in. When I press, I pluck. And yeah, it's a thing that I started hearing in other students when I was doing bass teaching straight away, and it was like, wow, you know, it makes a big difference when everything's coordinated. And then I would lock that in with metronome practice, so kind of like a double whammy, like focus on technique but also get that in a metronome, in a subdivision going on.
A lot of the time, if I'm having timing issues with something, 9 times out of 10 it's a technique issue.
Yeah.
A fingering issue, or I'm not being efficient enough, or there's a discrepancy between my left and right hand.
That's right, yeah.
You know? So a lot of the time the timing thing isn't, it's not necessarily that I've got bad time, it's just that my technique isn't up to, you know, fluid. And
sometimes that's just out of familiarity with the song. Mm-hmm. Like if you've just learnt the song, even though you've probably played those notes 1,000 times, you're still playing a new song. Yeah. And when you're not, you're waiting for when the next section's coming, see if you tested your memory. You know, you lose touch with some of the subtle things. Yeah,
cool. And kind of joining on from that, what would you say are some of the most important qualities for being a good bass player?
I would say having fantastic time, good ears, it's a no-brainer. Note length, and just when you're asked to play a certain style of music, try and understand what the bass player's job is in that style of music.
So like stylistically sensitive, or
absolutely,
playing for the song essentially.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Just make sure that because if you're playing that song and the rest of the band knows it, but you don't know it, and you just go and play what you think is right, you're 99%. Oh, that's probably a bit harsh. You're probably 50% to 60% wrong and not quite get the point of what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But if you're aware of what the style is, you're going to have a 95% chance of getting it pretty much what it needs to be.
So doing your homework.
Do your homework, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your current gear
you're
using.
In my hand at the moment, it's just a Squire Classic Vibe P bass.
Is that pink?
Fiesta Red. Yeah. When I was living over in London, I had a mate who was actually from here, but living over in London, and he showed me a John Mayer live album with Pinot on it, and it was just redonkulous. The sound was wicked, and yeah, from there I used to listen to that live album all the time, just loved the sound, and you know, loved the sound. I actually liked the look of the bass, so when I was to get my own one, I wasn't going to pay the $4,000 for the real thing. No. But, you know, looks good. Yeah. And I've got TI flats on it, which sound really good. Almost worth more than the bass. But I gig with my original band on this, and sometimes if I'm filling in for a band, I might use this instead of my normal bass.
Just to keep it simple?
To keep it simple, but also so that the bands that I play in, you know, that's that sound for that band, and if I'm cheating on that band, they're getting a different vibe. Yeah. But yeah, the main bass I use is a Lachlan Darrell Jones, jazz bass. Yeah, I got it from a Scottish guy. He was living in Canada, at the time, and shipped it off to me in pieces. Used the funds that I had to get a fucking awesome F bass. But no, I when I went and visited, I met Craig, who's interviewing me right now, through a mutual friend in Scotland, and when I first picked up his bass, I was like, oh, it feels so good. And then saw him again in Canada, played his bass on a jam, and it felt awesome. Didn't have to do it. It was just a natural feeling bass for me. And then when he offered it to me, I had to say yes. And I've been using it ever since, and gets wonderful compliments. Yeah.
It's a good sounding bass.
It's a great sounding bass.
Yeah. And your rig?
The rig that I'm using at the moment is a GK Gallion Kruger MB Fusion 500. And the cab that I've got for it is a CN212 Bergantino.
So you've gone lightweight?
Gone lightweight,
Have you been heavyweight?
I've absolutely been heavyweight for that. I had the full Aguilar DB750 with the GS410 cab. Well over 70, 80 kilos, I mean, combined weight. But, you know, the things you do when, you know, you first get that gear, lightweight gear really wasn't that available, or it was just really, really, really expensive. And yeah, I used to...
the Aguilar stuff's cheap.
That's that's right. But in Australia, you know, it was hard to get certain things. But yeah, you'd pick up that cab and take it upstairs, and yeah, but it just got to the point where, you know, the lighter gear started coming out and sounding pretty good, and it was just an efficiency thing, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And you got some pedals, or?
Yep. I've got a variety of pedals. Don't use all of them. At the moment, my pedal board's fairly simple. Just a tuner, Korg tuner, EBS octave pedal. I've got a looper pedal and a tone hammer, Aguilar tone hammer pedal. Yeah.
And you use in-ears as well?
I do use in-ears, and I got a little, it's called a Pose audio system, and it connects everything up just nicely. It's very in-depth, it could be a whole video on itself, but yeah.
Interesting, in-ears, cool. Is there anything you wish you were better at doing as a bass player?
I wish I had better ears. It's something that I feel that I came a little bit late into the game, coming from doing concert bands where the teacher would give you the music to read and play. You know, I never really thought too much about having to work out songs on my own, and the guitar teacher, you know, suggested, you know, I would do it and I would try it, and I was horrible at it, and you know, give me the music and I could play it pretty well. And then, you know, as I got into uni, it quickly became apparent that that was a bit of a weakness, and I've come heaps far now. I don't read music at all these days, and everything I learn is by ear. But yeah, I just wish at a younger age I had done that a bit more. And I think really it came down to confidence. Yeah, yeah. And also just being able to play any style, like someone calls a style, and just be able to recognise it and play it appropriately without offending anyone in the audience.
Okay.
Or the band, most importantly. Yeah.
What do you like about the Adelaide scene?
It's a small scene, but it's definitely a scene where people are very connected. Being a small scene, you get to play with everyone, you know what everyone's about. And, you know, it still happens today, but, you know, Adelaide's had heaps of musicians that have moved on to better things, whether it just be moving to Melbourne or Sydney or going over to America and have successful careers. So, you know, when they have spent their time in Adelaide, it's been very inspiring to go check out their gigs and, you know, try and get as good so that you can gig with them. And yes, they move on, but then it's the next wave that inspires, and yeah, so it's definitely a healthy music scene. Lots of great players. Probably gig-wise, not so healthy, but there's definitely people that push the envelope, and there's amazing musicians.
And is there any advice you would give to players wanting to break into a scene?
Yep, I'd say, you know, practice, come prepared, do all that kind of thing, but networking is really important. Be a friendly guy, you know, or girl.
It's so much easier to do nowadays with the internet and Facebook and stuff.
Absolutely, but, you know, a lot of people do use that as a way of networking, but when you speak to them actually at a venue, you don't get much out. So they're very good on social media, but try having a conversation in real life, you know, it leaves a little bit to be desired when that happens. But I would definitely say when you get a chance to play with people, put your best foot forward. I would say if you do get given a gig, learn your stuff, be very prepared, be on time, you know, all those simple things. It just makes a huge difference. And people want to work with people that are easy to get along with, know their stuff, but know that they're going to be reliable.